It's finally done. Grid just crossed 1000 stars in GitHub, and I'm really happy about this. I never thought that a simple to-do list or I never thought a simple habit tracker will cross 1000 stars in GitHub, and I don't know what to say. I'm just so happy about this. Before diving into this, really a huge thanks to everybody who has started this on GitHub. A huge thanks to all of the users, the contributors, and the translators for caring about this app. And yeah, Grit was just an app that I made for myself, but a lot of people have found this app to be really helpful in their lives. I've got a lot of emails and messages thanking me for making this app, and yeah, I'm just really grateful. I'm truly happy that you all have found this helpful in your lives. So I want to talk about the technical things of the app. I want to talk about how I went about building this app. What else I added to the GitHub repository? What else I added here? I haven't spent a single penny in advertising because I don't believe in advertising. If something good exists, it should spread through word of mouth. I think that's a pretty naive thing to say, but I stand by it until someone comes and changes my mind or something. And yeah, this was like my first experience in maintaining a proper open source project and managing pull requests and managing the users and listening to the users and implementing feedback. So before talking about all the code and stuff, I want to remind you guys about keep Android open. So Android is taking their initiative to lock down the Android platform through a lot of changes in the way developers publish their app on Play Store. Like every developer need to hand over their government ID and give them $25 and you lose any semblance of privacy. They need to make their home address public. If you are an independent developer, you need to make their home address public with Google Play Store to be able to distribute apps on Google Play. And I think that is really unfair. But now they are saying that you cannot distribute apps without permission from Google Play. You need to be a registered developer to even distribute APK files. And they are implementing this on the hardware, on the level of the device. Like your device will refuse to install the app if it's not from a registered developer. And I think that is a really bad thing for the Android ecosystem. I've been using Android since the COVID lockdown. I've been tinkering with it. I have installed custom ROMs, bootloaders, unlocked many bootloaders, bricked a lot of phones, and that experience, that sense of fear, that sense of risk that I take with every time I completely wipe my device from the TWRP or the Orange Fox recovery. That sense of terror is just something I used to live for, and they already took this away. A lot of phones, they don't come with the ability to unlock their bootloaders. And with this change, Google just wants to, kill side loading apps for or once and for all, and people won't be able to install any APKs outside of Google Play Store or any of the app stores that they are like allowing on Android. And that's a really bad thing. I think it's just really sad. And I don't think Google will go back on this, but at least we can try. And in the Google I/O, didn't show any signs of backing down on this decision. So if you can do sign this petition, and at least we will know that we tried. Moving on. So this is the banner for the app that I created in Figma. I think it's pretty good. I don't know what else to say about it. These are some of the README badges for the different places this app is available. I have created a simple Kotlin Wasm demo app for this app for Grid. So this Kotlin Wasm demo is like WebAssembly. It's just WebAssembly that is rendering the compose code, and through this I can host a demo version of this app in the web, so users can see what this app has without even installing it. I think that's pretty neat, and yeah, it's very underappreciated but expected. I am the only one who cares about this type of things, and it has almost all the features that you will get on the app. So yeah, the habits are there. Then these are the type of analytics you will be able to see within app. The animations, the calendar. This is the calendar. This is the monthly calendar. This is the yearly calendar, and this is the overall analytics. Uh, I tried to make it adapt to, tablet screens and phone screens, so it's looking kind of weird in this display. So I will resize it to a phone UI. So in the phone UI, it's much better to look at. I will surely work on making it adapt to large desktop screens. With the new Navigation 3 API, I saw that adaptive screens are built into the navigation. So I'm really excited to try that out. And yeah, this is just a simple web demo of the app. So my app has this task manager screen where you can add tasks, add reminders for the task, add categories, sort tasks, mark them as complete, edit those tasks, etc. So it's pretty standard task manager that I find useful because this app I made it for myself. I find is very useful. And then there is this habits section, and it allows you to create a habit. I'm creating a habit called test. I can select the days of the week I want to do this habit, and I can add a reminder if I want. After adding that habit and or adding that reminder, I can complete a day by simply clicking on that date. And since the starting date, a consistency metric is calculated, like out of the total days that you have done since the starting date, how consistent you were. So this is just that stat. And then there is this monthly progress, which is like a calendar view for the completions, and this is a expanded view of that. Here you can see a calendar that goes up to 2024 and a yearly calendar that goes up to 2024 as well. Then there is this weekly comparison start where it compares every week how you were performing each week. You can change the time period for comparison from 2 months to 1 year. And this animation is pretty sweet. I took this animation from the new Google Health app. That animation is really great, and I just love that animation. So I tried to recreate it here. It has some rough edges, like when I'm going from a larger time range to a smaller time range, there is some stuttering I have observed in the mobile app. I don't see any stuttering in the Warzone app. So I think I must be imagining things. But yeah, there is some polish left to do. Then there is this weekday breakdown, how active you are on certain days of week. Everything animates pretty well. And yeah, this is like for a singular habit, the statistics that you get for a singular habit. And then there is this overall analytics section where your total consistency across all the habits is calculated and ranked according to the most consistent habit that you have. Then there is this heat map, which also has this monthly and yearly calendar view. Here in the heat map, if you click on a day, it will show you the habits that you did in that day, and the same in the yearly calendar. And then there is the weekday breakdown. I want to add a lot more analytics later, so I'm going slow right now. First, I have the idea, then I try to implement it, then I rigorously test it to see if it conflicts with anything, and yeah, if it makes sense in the app, because I tend to have a lot of nonsensical ideas. And yeah, that's my total flow of going about adding features. There is a Figma file that I've created where I try to experiment with ideas. And these are the settings that you will get in the app. Oh, these are all dummy settings because this is a web demo app. So yeah, that's pretty much it in the app. And such a simple app, it crossed 1000 stars in GitHub. Again, I'm really grateful to all of the users. I never thought this would happen, and yet I'm here. These are the screenshots for the app that I created in Figma, ran that app in an emulator, took the screenshot and pasted it and tried to make it look minimal and tasteful. I don't know what to say, but it just looks right to me. I don't have a word for it in my mind, but I should. Yeah, it just feels right. I don't know. Then there are some of the features listed here, the motivation of doing this app and a graph showing the stars over time, the translations and how much they have been translated. My inspiration for this app, Loop Habit Tracker, it was the habit tracker I was using previously. It was pretty good. It's still very good option if you want a comprehensive, like you want to measure every statistic about everything. It's still pretty good, but the UI looks very old and it's just, yeah, I wanted to make a app for myself with only the features that I wanted. There is a contributing MD for contributors. If you want to contribute, please open an issue first, then open a pull request. And yeah, this is pretty much the GitHub page of the app. Now coming to the code. So I have a action based versioning system. I don't know what to call it. When I write a change log, the build scripts recognize that a change log has been added. For example, if I write the version 6 changelog in this changelog.md file, then the build scripts in the app will recognize that a changelog has been added. Here I have the logic in the build.gradle.kts of the Android file. It will recognize the changelog.md file and it will transform the changelog from plain text to JSON and store it in the assets directory of the app. And yeah, from there I can display it on the app. And yeah, these are the GitHub actions that I use. I have an action for beta app. Like in the dev branch, if a workflow starts with this string here, square bracket beta, then it will execute this CI action. It will just make a APK version of the app and upload it on Discord. Then there is the FOSS release. I have two build flavors of the app. One is the FOSS flavor and other is the play flavor. So the main difference between them is the play flavor has some features paywalled using revenue cat because I hate Play Store and I want everyone who uses Play Store to suffer. Nah, I'm just kidding. Uh, I just thought it will be a nice side income. So the play build flavor has some features paywalled and the FOSS build flavor has every feature unlocked. It is the build I'm using for GitHub releases, for Android releases, and easy Android releases. Then there is this web CI action which builds and deploys the web app that I just showed a few minutes earlier. And then there are the build modules. Going on to the build modules, here there are three main modules. One is the shared module, which contains all the UI code for the app. So I follow strict MVI architecture. MVI stands for Model View Intent. So for example, for any feature, I divide that feature into three parts: the UI component, UI part, the state part, and the actions part. And those are, for example, here for the habits feature, I have a habit state, which is just a container for the state of the habit feature. So the lists of habits, the completed habit IDs, the settings, everything just everything is just encapsulated in this data class, which is the state. And then there is this habit action sealed interface. This is just the things that the UI can do without implementing the logic of the things that the UI will do. So the UI can execute on toggle compact view without knowing what it is actually doing. It just knows that if I toggle compact view will be toggled. It doesn't know how. And that is the beauty of MVI. Here, the model is the state. The habit state is the model. Then the intent is the habit action. So, and the view is the UI part of this app. Here, the UI, I have the habits graph. And as Jetpack Compose is structured, you all write all of the UI of your app in composable functions. And this function only takes the state and a lambda, which is the on action lambda. It just takes an intent and returns nothing. That's the beauty of Jetpack Compose. The UI will never know what is happening behind the scenes. This makes the UI code really, really modular, and I can just reuse this UI into any other platform. And I will need to implement the details, implement the database, and implement the view models for that platform. But the UI part can be completely shared. And this is what I like the most about Jetpack Compose and Compose multi-platform. This isolation between things, it just feels right. So this habits graph function is containing all of the view of my app. Everything is contained here. It just takes the state and a lambda which passes the intent action. Any of the view models or anything that wants to implement that feature needs to implement a view model or a state provider that will, trickle down the state, that will create the state, manage it, and trickle it down to the UI. For that, I have created the view models in the build modules itself. Here in the Android app module, which is just a simple Android app, I am creating the state holders for all of these UI components in this view model package. Then there is the habit view model, which just creates the state and a bunch of jobs which is not related to the state, but it is required to do some of the things that the UI requires. It creates the state, manages it, and handles all the actions. So a habit action is passed to that on action function, and when it's passed, it decides what type of action it is and acts accordingly. Very, very simple, very elegant in code world. So I'm using the new Navigation 3 library. It's a huge upgrade over the Navigation 2 library that I was using before. In Navigation 2, you had to create a nav controller, and through that nav controller, you navigated between screens. But in Navigation 3, everything is under your control. The backstack, which is like the list of screens that the app has currently in uh, app has currently created, the backstack is completely under your control, and that is really powerful for developers. I have created all the possible routes as uh, data objects which are like private to only this file, so the information about navigation never leaks out of this graph file. A screen doesn't need to know about what other screens are present in the app, and this kind of separation is all I live for. So this is just boilerplate that I need to do in Compose multi-platform. If this were a on Android only project, this would have been generated. I'm guessing this is where the habits graph starts. This window size class is a custom local composition that I use to know the size of the window that is currently being displayed. There is this scroll behavior for the top app bar. Then there is the nav display composable, which is the root, navigator between the screens. It has simple DSL-like structure to define all of the routes. I can define a route as entry habit routes dot habit list. Then in that lambda, I can just write the compose code. Very simple, very intuitive, and a huge upgrade over navigation too. I'm also using this plugin called Spotless, which is a very powerful Kotlin formatter, and it automatically goes through all of your code and just removes unused imports and formats the lines, makes it look very pretty, and it's a really powerful tool. Like whenever, even after Kotlin format, if a piece of code looks ugly, then that means I am doing something wrong in the architecture, and I may be doing too much nesting inside that composable, and I need to, extract some of those components outside into some other function. Really, really helpful. I might have missed this earlier. I also have a GitHub action to build and release the app into Play Store automatically. I just need to push into the master branch of my project with this piece of string in the commit message, and it will start building the app, Android app bundle, and it will upload it to Google Play Store. Really seamless. I had to do this manually before, and this This just simple CI action, it just makes my life so much easier. I don't need to think about going to Play Store and putting the Android app bundle there and then waiting for it to upload. All that, it's just taken care of. As I learn more about these tools, I'm just shocked by how much I can do, how much I can make my life easier. I don't need to, if I want to make a release, I don't need to think about uh, going to Play Store and all that. I just need to make the changes and push into the master branch with this commit message, and the build will be published on Play Store automatically. So I have made the app as customizable as possible. These are the app themes, which is like the standard in most of the apps. Then these are the fonts that you can choose from. A lot of fonts, as you can see. And the Google Sans font is actually the Google Sans Flex font. And with that Flex font, I have implemented the headings and important texts in my app. I have a hot reload version of the app that is ready to be, that I can fire up to show the practical features here. As I said earlier, the shared module contains all the UI logic. Then there is the Android app module, which contains the build logic to build the Android app. Then there is this web demo module, which is the module I used for hot reload and the module I used for the web demo version of the app. It has a simple dummy state holder, and all the UI is implemented just like in the Android app module. It just allows me to check the UI if on the go, and it allows me to check the UI on the go using hot reload, and the web demo version is published through this module. So this is the hot reload version of the app. You might notice that it's very similar to the web demo version because it is the same app. This hot reload version is rendering compose using Skia. That is the same process in the Wasm version, the Kotlin Wasm version that I showed as the web demo. It uses the same logic, and yeah, all of the features are available here. I can resize it to the size of the app. Yeah, everything is available, everything works all right. This is just for me to test the app on the go. Like, if I make a change in the code, it will be reloaded. This whole window will be reloaded, and after 2 to 3 seconds I will be able to see the change in a live app, as compared to like the previews that I see in Android Studio. Those are good, but there are a lot of bugs with previews in Compose multi-platform. Like, previews will get stuck, previews will not re-render after I make a change until I rebuild the whole module. That takes up a lot of RAM, and reload is just better for building shared UI. Friends, Grit is just a simple to-do list and habit tracker. I didn't have to do a lot of technical innovation in this app. It is just a database wrapper, and the hardest challenge that I had to face was figuring out database migration. For the theming, there are a lot of options that users have. As I showed earlier, there are a lot of font options. Then in the dark color scheme, you can set it to AMOLED palette, like true dark, true black background. You can select the seat color, the palette, and yeah, it's very customizable. And all of this is possible through the material color library. If you're building for Compose multi-platform, then this is a library that you can use. One of the best libraries for for all the color utilities that you might want. They are available here, and you can calculate color from a seed color. You can calculate the Android palette from a seed color. Really flexible, and yeah, I use it in all of my apps. Available on these platforms: JVM, JavaScript, Wasm, iOS, Android, every platform it is available. Really, really helpful library. Using that material color library, I have implemented a theme class in my app, the grid theme. Here it is. Here is the grid theme class. Now it is an expect function because some theming things are different in Android than in other platforms, because Android has this material hue feature where the color of the entire app is calculated based on your wallpaper. For that feature, I needed to define it separately for Android. I will just show it here. So this is the Android theme class. Here it calculates if dark theme is enabled and remembers a dynamic color scheme. And this is the final color scheme to be used in the app. So it calculates the color scheme from the context, like if material hue toggle is enabled in app, there should be a material hue toggle in the Android version of this app. So if that toggle is enabled, then it will calculate the color scheme from your system color scheme and then use that. And if it's not enabled, then it will use the dynamic color scheme, which is calculated using the material color library. There are a ton of things here that I can go on and on about, but that will just be boring after some point. Then there is this provide typography file, which I use to decide the typography of all of the text in the app. This is the emphasis typography, which is using the flex font. The flex fonts have a ton of customizable access that allows you to modify how it looks. So this flex font emphasis looks like it is emphasizing, and then the rounded one looks like cozy, title-esque, and then there are the other typographies that can be used in app. For the tasks too, the tasks are very simple, just a database wrapper that is showing the task, and there is this optional reminder for each task. Very, very simple. No, I have used a lot of apps. Some of the most influential apps in my life were like Kotatsu, which was a manga reader, and it has been dead for a while now. Rest in peace. The design was very good. And then there was this app called Shizuku. No, not Shizuku. There was this app called Psycho, which was like an anime streaming app. It was built by a developer at the time that I'm now friends with. And yeah, it was a really big source of inspiration for me to like build apps that, to build my own apps, to learn Android development. I learned Android development only by doing things. I made a lot of mistakes. If you uh, go explore the commit history of this repo, then you will find, if you are an experienced Android app, you will find that I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of silly things that I added into the app, because at the time I was just learning. I didn't uh, take any mentor. I didn't buy any course or something like that. It was just me experimenting with things and reading the docs, experimenting with UI, and just fuck around and find out. That was my whole learning experience, and I'm very proud of that because I have that capability of, fucking around and finding out things and learning from them. There are still a lot of things that I want to add. Some statistics, like an improvement statistic, like how much you have improved since the last week or the last month. A lot of other visualizers that I want to add to this app. I also want to add an in-app server kind of thing that I can, like, enable a toggle in app, and voila, I can use the app as a web application in my desktop, which is connected to the same local network. It is implemented already in the app called Deeper, which is a link manager app. This app already has this feature. Here you can toggle setting, and then the all of the app's contents will be available in your local network, any device on your local network. It's pretty neat. I think it can be implemented in this app also, but there's just one bottleneck. The web version of this app, the Wasm web version, it's like 12 megabytes for a web app, because it's WebAssembly and it's all compiled. All Jetpack Compose code is compiled into that WebAssembly binary. It's like 12 megabytes or something, and it's very heavy for app. The web demo here, it takes a second to load, but on slower networks it just doesn't load at all. So if I go around the HTML route, I can, make a single page HTML page, and it will interact with the app through endpoints. That will be pretty good, but it will lose the UI of the app. Like, HTML is not that easy to customize. If I try to make it look like the app that I have right now, the HTML page will be like 2000 lines of code. And I don't want any line of code that I don't know what it is doing in my code base. That's why I use AI very cautiously. Like, AI can write away all of this code, but there is no guarantee that it's the code that I actually wanted. Yeah, it may give me the same result, but it might be making some compromise somewhere, right? So I don't trust AI code with all of the HTML code, and I don't think I will write all the 2000 lines of HTML. So I think I will like try to bundle the web app in the app itself, but it will increase the size of the app. Like it will double the size of the app. The app itself is now like around 10 megabytes. If I bundle the web app also, then it will be more than 20 megabytes. And I hate that. So let's see what I need to do for that. So that's pretty much it about this app. If you want to talk about it, please hit me up. Please, I'm just dying to talk about it. It's really hard to find someone else who has the same, who has the same drive to build things. And I know a bunch of people like that, but they are all online, and no one in real life is like that. And yeah, if you want to talk about any of these things, if you want to add a feature, or if you want to like suggest something, you can go to the GitHub repository. You can see where you can suggest stuff. If you want to try to add a feature by learning Android, learning KMP, then I will be really glad to help. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening.